ESPN Radio 1700. Now, live in studio, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries. As we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family, your business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining. Before we get into our intriguing content this morning, please join me in welcoming our featured guests and repeat offenders both. Jeff Ball, Friendly Hills Bank. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Ron. Always a pleasure to be here.
Glad to have you with us. Taylor Wilson is with us. Costello & Sons, welcome.
Pleasure to be here again.
Glad to have you with us as well. Let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Ask Your Mortgage Advocate is first on our rundown today. Love this question because it's something that we have taken advantage of in the past for folks. Great to share it with you. This came in. I'd like to purchase a home for my elderly parents. Are there any special programs I can use to help with this? The answer to the question is yes. Fannie Mae does have a program called the Family Opportunities Guideline. We've done this with some folks. It is for a child purchasing a home for elderly parents who can't qualify, or parents purchasing a home for disabled children as their primary residence. Again, it's the Family Opportunity Guidelines under Fannie Mae. And believe it or not, this comes as a challenge for many, many folks. Fannie Mae will allow the sandwich person, either the child that's buying for the parent or the parent buying for the disabled child, they allow them to use owner-occupied rates, owner-occupied pricing for those programs. So think about that. If you are talking to a lender, again, and I share this with you all the time, every lender uses, most every lender uses Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac guidelines as a foundation. They are then allowed to add whatever they want above and beyond those guidelines to make the programs a little bit stricter, a little bit more stringent. That's the idea why you want to go to a mortgage banker in most instances, because they can be a personal shopper for you and find out which institutions are allowing or offer the Family Opportunities Program. Not everybody does. Just the thought for you. And moving right along, Commerce Department gave us a new report this morning. Single-family home sales dropped 6.8% in June to an annualized rate of 482,000 units. Not the news they want you to know about. So think about that. We saw today that single-family home sales dropped, but on the same token, we also saw that there's more challenges in China. And unfortunately, we are still living in the state of confusion. So even though oil is at $48 a barrel right now, which, think about this, when oil was at over $100 a barrel, we were paying in the mid $4 range in California. Oil is less than half of that now. And where is our pricing now in California gas prices? Yeah, mid $4. I know I went to Costco the other day, they were $3.95, I think. But in most areas, we're paying a lot more than that for gas. Keep on electing the same people to do the same things and think that we're going to get something any different in the state. This all has to do, it's very simple. It's called supply and demand. We cannot buy gas from Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, or any of the other 49 states, because California has our own exclusive blend based on environmental guidelines. Think about that one. Moving right along, I can get off that gas price soapbox. But I do like to bring it to your attention, especially as we're 15 months from elections again, and I know that there's a lot of big decisions to be made. And one of the big decisions that's going to be made, I think, is actually going to be made in the next 50 days. And it has to do with the fact that Congress generally goes on vacation for the month of August. Some of us wish they'd be on vacation and only work the month of August. If they were on vacation the other 11 months, they probably wouldn't have as much time to mess things up. I'm probably one of the few people that wishes the president would play at least another 300 rounds of golf every year. If you take that and add that to what he's already doing, again, not a lot of time to mess things up, but I divert. According to Ed Royce, our local congressman, he's having some hearings on the, what do they want to call it this time? The Iran nuclear deal. We can't call it a treaty because the president's doing that end run around the Constitution. So we've got the Iran-Contra hearings, or not Iran-Contra, I guess might be this administration's Iran-Contra, but we'll find out, being that we did hear that there might be a secret deal going with the IAEA that Secretary Kerry doesn't want us to know about. I love listening to some of these folks. Just gets my blood boiling. I have to take blood pressure medicine or Kettle One or the other, to listen to them. Just because maybe I'm naive, but I got once in a while thought that we could trust what these people had to say to the American people. You know, Susan Rice, we know that we can't trust anything she says. We heard about her commentary right after the Benghazi affair, so she went on 5 stations to tell everybody misleading information. Again, personal opinion. So why would I want to listen to her now about anything having to do with Iran? I just saw a report last night that Saudi Arabia is having meetings with Hezbollah. Did you expect that to come? Many of us said as soon as the United States decided to get in bed with Iran and these loons over there, that this was going to create a new arms race. And unfortunately, this time, not only is it an arms race, it's a nuclear arms race. Do you think Saudi Arabia is going to let Iran get nuclear weapons or more of these military planes? They're going to get $150 billion from the U.S. And do you think that the other countries over there are not going to get involved? They're not going to watch what's going on? Total lunacy. But that's what happens. That's why I believe it's Ed Klein wrote a book. Very, very telling book. It's about 4 years old now. It's called The Amateur. If you want to read an interesting book, he predicted like 90% of what's going on right now. He even went to the point of saying, and I don't know whether this is true or not, I'm just talking about what Mr. Klein wrote in his book, that the president and first lady don't really like each other. Now think about this concept. For Father's Day, the First Lady and daughters went to Europe. The President went golfing in Palm Springs. Kind of an odd place for Father's Day if you're family-oriented. Last week, the President and his daughters went to New York to a play. The First Lady was nowhere to be heard from. Call The Amateur if you're interested in the book. I found it very fascinating, moving right along. California Supreme Court. They're getting involved in your water. That's a ruling that they're not going to budge on water rates. It's a setback to California water regulators' conservation efforts. The state Supreme Court has kept intact a ruling that makes it harder for municipalities to impose tiered pricing to discourage heavy water use. Does that surprise anybody? We're going to be doing a lot of programming on water coming up. I'm not a big fan of all of this water rationing right now, just because you don't get water, I don't get water, but the darn little smelt, they get water. I don't get it, but the smelt get it. I'm going to get off this stuff and we're going to have a little bit of fun today, because today is Friday, Ron Siegel Radio Date Night, presented by Reunion Kitchen and Drink. I'm going to give you the question very early on today. I don't usually give this to you in the opening segment, but I will. We spoke to criminal attorney Fred Fasanelli earlier this past 7-day programs. That's where you have to look if you want the answer to Ron Siegel Radio trivia questions. Fred Fasanelli was on. He told us he moved to which country when his father was stationed there while on active military duty. Very interesting discussion with Fred and about criminal law and maybe even DUIs and things like that. So if you know the answer to the question, Ron Siegel Radio Date Night presented by Reunion Kitchen and Drink. We've got a dinner gift card for 2 to Reunion Kitchen and Drink, movie tickets and Starbucks. It's all good. And be sure to set that, well, I guess I better not do that one. I guess we want to really talk about listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, small town banking. What is all this regulation doing to our bankers? Maybe we're going back to early days. We're talking about California, Arizona reverse mortgage volume. Is a reverse mortgage right for you? Tossed across time for interest rates. That's a very interesting story. Who do I call if I lost my social security number? And home insurance in the luxury market. We're going to talk about all of that and more. You can reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. Now all the shows are broadcast on live stream, replayed on YouTube. The audio is in the Ron Siegel Radio archive. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few. In the middle of our street, our house.
Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037 and DRE number 018694552.
Southern California attorneys have over 15,000 real estate agents to call in Orange County for their personal and professional needs. Why do they overwhelmingly call Melinda Johnson? Simple. It's the Melinda Johnson trifecta. Melinda is an attorney, real estate broker, and realtor. Does your family deserve the same professional services California lawyers demand? Call Melinda Johnson at 714-863-5485. That's 714-863-5485. Or on the web at freedomfirstproperties.com.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission. Lending partners will give a credit at closing. The title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron on ESPN.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today brought to you by Commerce for a Cause. If you are a business owner and you take credit cards, you are paying some sort of a credit card processing fee. I have no idea what that fee would be. Commerce for a Cause will in most instances match that fee and then take 20% of the fee and give that to the charity or charities of your choice. Great organization, great way to give back to the community. As you know, we are always promoting the concept of giving back to the community. I love the idea. I think that if we did that more from a personal standpoint, we'd all be better off and get the government out of our way. Cost across time is the subject of today's Mortgage Minute. Very interesting, and we're going to chat, those of us that are old, like me, interest rates in the 70s, average, and I'm going to use Freddie Mac rates today, and I'm going to use a national loan amount, and we bring the dollars into basic dollars of $200,000, okay? So think about this in the same numbers, not as far as what you could buy for the money, just as dollars against dollars. 70s interest rates, 8.86% on average. 80s interest rates, 12.7% on average. 90s, the interest rates, mortgage rates, averaged 8.12%. In the early part of the 2000s, 6.29%. And today we're looking at a 4.04% Freddie Mac rate. Again, just the Freddie Mac rates. I'm not telling you can qualify for these numbers, but these are some base numbers for you to think about. When you look at that, for a $200,000 property in the 70s, you were paying $1,589 a month. In the 80s, $2,166 a month. In the 90s, $1,484 a month. Early in the 2000s, $1,237. Today, $959 a month. Less than half of the pricing in the 80s for that $200,000 mortgage. And I have people saying to me, Ron, do you think interest rates are going to go down any further? Well, the answer to that question is, number one, they might. I told you I believe that we're still looking at a 1.5 10-year treasury. But the issue is, who cares? Act today. You can, if they go up, you cannot do anything. You can't go backwards. If they go down, you can restructure your loan and get something new. So don't worry about where they might go down. Worry, are they going to go up? That's the issue. That's the important part. If you're looking to buy, sell, or refinance, give us a call, especially if you are one of the VIP heroes that we're going to talk about later in today's broadcast. That is the Mortgage Minute, again brought to you by Commerce for a Cause. So let's chat this morning with our local banker, Jeff Ball. Jeff, you've been around and seen all those interest rates. What do you think?
Well, I'm not going to take myself all the way back to the 70s like you, Ron, but yeah, definitely. I guess
some of us are old.
Definitely remembering the 80s, and I think you make a very good point in terms of the relativity of the rates today. And of course, also the difference of what that $200,000 can buy you. And it's a very advantageous time to borrow.
Amazing. The challenge is obviously, I shared yesterday when we were talking about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the things that every lender, be it a bank or a mortgage banker, has to go through in the regulatory environment. And obviously we all have to follow those guidelines. They are what they are, as we talk about. But is there a way for the smaller, the hometown bank to survive with all this regulation that's going around?
Well, we think there is, and a lot of the CFPB application tends to lean more towards the larger banks and mortgage specific. It does have an impact on us in terms of some of the reporting that we have to do and some of the compliance requirements that we have now. But I think the sad reality, and we've certainly seen it in the mortgage industry, what I think Congress originally intended to be a way to try to save consumers is actually harming consumers, because it's resulted in much more difficult credit standards that the lenders have to follow. It has resulted in higher cost, which at some point is reflected in the rate that you pay, and it's also had an impact on the availability of credit. You don't have as many lenders today, and it's much harder to qualify, and the loans aren't getting closed as efficiently. So if we step back and look at it, sure, nobody is doing the type of aggressive lending that we had before, which was encouraged by the government, by the way.
Sure.
But it's, what happens, I always look at it for that standard middle-class family. Are they better or are they worse as a result of this regulation? And I would argue that they're worse.
It is, and to me, I like the idea. I'm a big relationship person, right? And I like the idea that, if I pick up the phone and call you, I can talk to you. I can't pick up the phone at some place like Chase I can't call Warren Buffett because I think he owns still a good portion of Wells Fargo, right? And we know that when he bailed out Bank of America, right? You can't pick up the phone and call him and talk to him and get a relationship with somebody.
And that's why I think the community bank sector will survive. It's going to be in a different form. We have not only regulation, but we also have technology. But at the end of the day, it comes down to what you're hitting on, and that's relationship. The fact that you can pick up the phone and you can call and talk to somebody who's a decision maker. With a larger bank, the person who's making those decisions is typically not even in your market area, may not even be in your state. So
we hope they're in the same country.
We would hope they're in the same country. But when you're working with a community bank, you're working with somebody who's in your town that understands. So when you have a unique commercial building in Anaheim Hills, they not only know where Anaheim Hills is, but they've been there and they've looked at that building. And if you have an established relationship with them, then they can give you a lot of solid advice up front that can be helpful in making that decision.
Now, let me ask you this, and I just thought of this as we're sitting here talking, Jeff. When you talk about the local and the real tight impact of business, if you have a client, and in this regulatory environment, we just saw that we had this major rainstorm that we're not used to in California, and out in the desert area, they had a major road between Arizona and California washes out. Obviously, the businesses on either side of that area are going to be significantly impacted. Mm-hmm. Can they make a phone call to a bank? Are you able to help out a small business like that in this type of a regulatory environment?
Well, we have some clients that were impacted by that because most significantly, a main transportation corridor between LA and Phoenix got shut down. And so it did have an impact in terms of delivery of goods, which has an impact in terms of cash flow for a business. And so we did have a few clients that were concerned about that impact, that their ability to deliver goods and get paid could be deferred. And in each of those cases, we can work with them directly to address the different needs that they may have that could come up as a result of that unique situation. If you don't have that type of relationship, then you're looking at some sort of a transactional type application that you have to do. And you don't have a lot of time. That happened immediately. Nobody was expecting that closure. So that's another good example of why having a relationship with a community bank is so important, because that bank, knowing you and your business, can respond much more quickly.
And I love that idea, and that's why I believe that there's always going to be a place for the small business person, being at a bank or a business entity, and take advantage of having that relationship before you need it. Right? We call it relationship capital. They can call you because they've got a history with you. I mean, if somebody calls you the first day and says, "Hey, Jeff, I need help because this happened last Monday," you're probably dealing with the people that you already have the relationship with.
Well, that's true, Ron, but let me take it to a different extent, and that is not only being reactive, but also proactive. And we frequently meet with our clients and talk about not what they're responding to, but more what they're planning. Where do they intend to take their business? What kind of capital will be involved? What do they need to be prepared for? Are there certain vendors or others that they need to be in touch with to start planning? And importantly, know that their bank is behind them. And we do that all the time in working with our clients as they look at different business opportunities that may come up. And we often are in those meetings before they've even put an offer on a building or ordered a piece of equipment.
That's great. And to me, I look at it as being, another part of the board of directors, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're able to go in there and give them from a fresh set of eyes. Maybe you're not in the forest, so to speak. Now, I talk a lot about CFPB, but that's all part of the Dodd-Frank Act. How's that affecting the banking?
The Dodd-Frank Act, and actually it's very timely you have me on your show this week because we just celebrated the 5-year anniversary of the Dodd-Frank Act.
I don't know how you celebrate that one. That's an interesting one.
With a lot of Kettle One, as you referred earlier.
Absolutely.
Maybe an intravenous feed, but we are on the 5-year anniversary of the Dodd-Frank Act, and so we do have a good impression in terms of the impact. Certainly much more regulation in terms of the rules we need to follow, the reporting that we need to do, and all of that reflects how we can respond to our clients, how creative we can be in addressing different needs of our clients, and then also the costs that we have, which we obviously have to pass through in our business, as all banks do, in relation to being compliant with all of the requirements. Here's the scary part. Dodd-Frank, as big and bad as it was, only about 60% of it has been fully implemented. There are so many rules and regulations in that legislation that are still coming that we haven't even had the impact of yet. So it is a living and breathing item that continues to have an impact on our industry and our ability to serve the community.
And it's everybody. So I like the way you put that, because I talk about that all the time, is that really, in a sense, banks or businesses don't pay taxes, they collect them. Somebody has to pay them it has to get added into the fees and the expenses and the overhead somewhere. So think about that. Every time you hear how great these different regulations are and that it's another tax, it's just going to affect the business. Well, it's not the business that it just affects, it's going to affect you, because that gets passed along. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. We're going to talk more about Dodd-Frank and more about the small town business. How about insurance? Another relationship world. That's the conversations we will have. You can reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Stay tuned. We will be back in just a few.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel lending team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel lending team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel lending team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Attention homeowners 62 and older. Do you worry if you can afford to keep your home? Are you concerned about paying all your monthly expenses? Or do you simply wish you could live a better retirement? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you may qualify for a program that can help. It's called FHA Reverse Mortgage. It's insured by the federal government. You'll receive tax-free money. You aren't required to make any monthly mortgage payments, and you still own your home. Siegel Lending Team is a local leader in FHA reverse mortgages. Call free to get your free reverse mortgage guide, free custom quote. And when you call now, you can get all your questions answered by local experts. There is no monthly mortgage payment and tax-free money you can use for healthcare expenses, home improvements, or just live a better retirement with peace of mind. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-1990 to get your free reverse mortgage guide and quote. You'll also find them on the web at SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Call 800-306-1990 now.
Did you know that banks and credit bureaus are rewarded financially if you have bad credit? And the worse your credit score is, the more money they can make off of you? How does that make you feel, knowing that banks are getting rich off of your hard-earned money? How does it make you feel, knowing that if a bank or a credit bureau makes a mistake on your credit report, they benefit from it and it hurts you? The Fair Credit Report Act of 1971 requires banks and credit bureaus to report only accurate information, and nearly 100% of all credit reports are inaccurate. If you're sick and tired of being broke and tired of being robbed by the banks, you owe it to yourself and to your family to call Rondi. Rondi is a FICO certified credit professional and has helped thousands of people just like you get out of debt and establish great credit. Rondi's number is 855-608-1990. Again, that's 855-608-1990. Or visit creditsanitizer.com. Again, that website is creditsanitizer.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Word on Wealth segment today brought to you by our friends at R.E.A.P Fire and Water Restoration. Great little company, locally based. Give a call to Don or Kurt. They will take care of you if you have the unfortunate need of water or fire restoration. Who do I call if I lost my Social Security card? Boy, it sounds like you've got a lot of work going on that one. First off, I hope you've already set yourself up with LifeLock. CreditSanitizer.com. They've got a good deal for our listeners with LifeLock. You don't want to. That's an easy way of getting identity theft. It's one of the reasons I'm thinking that more and more people are getting away from basic mail. It's so simple to steal your whole identity from your mail. It's amazing. I mean, I see people, you can print checks on your own, routing numbers, bank numbers. It's pretty simple there. But give a call. You need to get a new Social Security card. You'll have to call the Social Security Administration. Obviously, it's a government entity, so you might not get through right away. You might want to go down and get in line, but you need to look at that. Look at your driver's license. Look at your passport if you have one of those. But make sure you get a notation on your credit report that you have had this issue so that they can watch out for you. We were talking with Jeff Ball before the show went on about how banks need to really just watch every last detail of what's going on for suspicious activity. I don't know if you've ever gotten a call from a bank asking you, did you really put that through, or is that something that's really yours? Interesting information. That is our Word on Wealth segment, again, brought to you today by R.E.A.P Fire and Water Restoration, a local company. We'll be hearing more from them as time goes on. We can also chat right now with Taylor Wilson, Costello & Sons. Good morning, Taylor.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So you're in an arena also. I mean, it's kind of funny that we had R.E.A.P as doing as sponsoring that segment, because you're in the luxury insurance world.
Correct.
And one of the things I had a conversation with the gentleman from R.E.A.P that they try and battle is the 800 number. Whenever there is that issue where people are getting away from the insurance companies, in many instances don't want the consumer calling an agent when there's a problem. They want them to call an 800 number.
Well, see, that's a different deal. Well, usually when my clients, their home's on fire or underwater, they're the first ones they call me. And that's when I have my team of a restoration company and a hotel to actually send them to, because they want to have the mind at ease that, hey, if there's a fire at the house or a leak or a flood, they want to make sure that it's going to get someone out there to remediate, what's going on, and not having an 800 number and just, talking to, a call center. They just want to make their mind at ease that, it's going to be handled. Is that something different than the industry, or is that because you're the market that you service, or is it just because that's the kind of service you want to deliver? That's the service I want to deliver. It's standard where they do call up and get an 800 number. I'll get a call at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night saying, hey, what do I do? And so I get my team of the restoration company that I deal with, and we get out there, and usually, these guys are licensed, they're, drug tested, they're background checked, because you don't want someone in your house that is a criminal, that's, handling, stuff, because they're going to be taking out valuables and your furniture and stuff to, get everything handled. I like that idea. So you're developing that relationship. You want to be the quarterback. Correct. Why is it that, I just spoke to an insurance company the other day, and they said that they're getting compliance issues.
That darn word again. Are you getting hit with the compliance from the corporation saying, hey, we want to handle it, we don't want you talking to people?
Not really, because the companies that we're dealing with, they're already approved by the vendors.
Okay.
I'm sure approved by the insurance company. So if I call up an ATI or the company that I deal with, they're already approved through Chubb, through AIG, and Pure. The companies that. So if they're sending them out, obviously they're an approved vendor.
Okay, I'm going to I've got my consumer advocate hat on.
Okay.
Approved vendor to me means there's some sort of a funny business between the insurance company and an approved vendor.
Okay.
Am I right? Am I missing something?
Not really. I mean, there's a lot of restoration companies out there, and they get, some like in my industry kind of get a bad name when you do shoddy business. Like they said, when these restoration companies, they actually are on the police scanner, so when there's a fire or something, they are actually following the fire trucks. And when
I've seen some that get there before the fire truck.
Exactly. And they're lined up waiting to talk to the homeowner, and the homeowner comes out and you got 18 people wanting to talk to you to try to get the business. So the companies I deal with, they're not like that. They're already kind of approved.
Interesting. Okay, so now we've dealt with the catastrophe side of the business.
Sure.
And I know it's just a small percentage of the people ever have a catastrophe. So why is there a difference between going to a basic, I'm not going to even use the name of the company that I hate. I'll spare everybody telling them about that car dealer that I hate that's got an insurance name. But going to a basic policy versus, you said, a Chubb or somebody like that, what am I looking for different when I deal with the luxury market?
Well, you buy insurance, for the service, like if you do have a claim, correct?
Right.
So when I talk to people, I kind of get right off the bat, I kind of find out, do they hate insurance or do they like insurance? And usually it's either love or hate. So if they like it, I try to put them with a product, especially in the luxury market.
You found somebody that likes insurance?
Yeah, there are people out there, believe it or not.
Wow.
But what we do is like with the Chubb or an AIG or an ACE, that if there's a loss, you're going to get the white glove service where they're going to come out and they're going to, you're not going to have to fight to actually get a claim paid. And if you have, some damage where there's carpet involved and they got to come out. I had a client that just had a slab leak in a living room, and they couldn't find the carpet. Well, instead of trying to, take the carpet out, take it to the restoration company and dry it out, they recarpeted the whole house because they couldn't find it. Now, a normal company, they're going to try maybe replace the carpet, and that's not going to match the next room. So certain things that the luxury carriers do for their clients is a lot different than like the middle market, like an Allstate or a Farmers.
Okay, so the person understands that they're paying more, and I think most of us agree that we insurance is one of those investments that we want to make the investment and never get a return.
Exactly.
One of the few, right? I mean, we don't want to have the claim. I would suggest it's a lousy way of getting new carpeting. But you may end up, you and I have talked to you, you do put your clients up in some nice places because that's what they expect.
Exactly.
I like the idea there where what is the difference, though, going to be from pricing standpoint?
Well, to be honest with you, sometimes it's significant, but you're going to, in the long run, if you do have a claim, you're going to get the service and you're going to get the product that you actually paid for. And I tell people, you can go with this company or go with this company, but if you have a claim, when push comes to shove, you're probably not going to get a handle. And I'm going to be there. I'm the actual agent that actually holds the client hand through the claim. I'll do what I can to go to bat, but like I said, you could have had this product or you could have that one, but this is why you should have this.
Interesting information. I know, because you're dealing mainly 7-figure homes or not?
Predominantly, yeah. We do everything, but yes.
And I would assume that a lot of those folks have multiple residences.
Correct.
So that some of their claims, if you have a slab leak and you're at your winter house and this happens in your summer house, it can be a while until it's discovered.
Exactly.
So it's going to be a larger claim. Now, is the insurance company going to come back and say, well, you should have reported it sooner?
No, that's not it at all. In fact, on certain homes, like with secondary homes, it's in the high-end market, they sometimes require what they call a water leak detection system. If there's it's like an alarm on the water line. So if there's a surge of water, it automatically shuts it off. And they're $1,200-$1,300 in that range, but it's obviously it's protecting the insurance company for a second or third home that is occupied maybe once or 1 or 2 months of the year.
Sounds like an inexpensive tool to minimize what could be a horrible situation.
Exactly.
Because again, I mean, the claims, no matter what it is, even if you've got this white glove treatment, you're still out of your house, and you're still having to go through a remodel that you weren't planning for.
Exactly.
And it's not on your time frame.
Exactly. And then that's when I was, at the high-end market, we actually, partner with Pelican Hill or the Montage to actually send those clients and not really alter their lifestyle. They can actually go to a, 2,500, 3,000 square foot villa, have the full butler service, and have everything, handled while their house is getting, remediated, and and get the service that you're expecting.
Holy cow! It sounds like a nice little vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're only dealing with the insurance company for a little while of it. Well, we'll talk more about it. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, we're going to chat a little bit about one of those luxury properties in our featured home segment. And we've also got on the docket reverse mortgages. They don't seem to go with luxury homes, but we'll talk about it. Remember, you can reach me anytime. Call our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us on Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. On Twitter, @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Do you have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership? What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and clear home could be costing you $2,500 every month, $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call Ron Siegel at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send you a no-obligation mortgage adoption plan. You be the judge if it's right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to map@ronsiegelradio.com or call today Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporation and MLS 217037 and BCAL number 018694552.
Ron Siegel Radio Date Night Trivia, presented by Reunion Kitchen and Drink. Friday, Ron will pose a question based on-air conversations during the prior 7 programs. The person to post the answer according to the guest conversation will win a date night package, including a dinner gift card for Reunion Kitchen and Drink. You might even be able to say hi to Ron when you visit Reunion Kitchen and Drink.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037 and DRE number 018694552.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel Lending Team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel Lending Team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel Lending Team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800 1-800-306-1990 or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio anytime. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Your Credit Matters segment today brought to you by the VIP Hero program. Again, one of those programs that I really like promoting because it is for our military, active duty, veterans, retired, reserve, National Guard, law enforcement, firefighters, healthcare professionals, first responders, and teachers. Holy cow. All of them get discounts. They get a rebate from the real estate professional. They get a rebate from the lender. They have special published prices from the title companies, special pricing from the credit repair, and special pricing from the lawyers. You don't get special prices from lawyers, but we've got it for Ron Siegel Radio VIP Hero program. Give us a call if you're looking to buy, sell, or refinance. And ironic numbers coming in that people are actually in California and Arizona, the main places, still looking at reverse mortgages. I say it is a great program for the right person. I don't say it's right for everybody. But California saw an 8.8% growth from April when it measured 7.4% year-over-year growth on the reverse mortgage world. Again, there's a lot of seniors out there that can't afford to eat, but they've got a lot of equity in their property. Or maybe you just want to sell your property and go buy a new house somewhere else with no mortgage payment and keep some of that equity to go and enjoy the golden years. Reverse mortgage, great product for the right person. It is not for everybody. That is the VIP Hero program sponsoring Your Credit Matters. Continuing our conversation this morning, Jeff Ball, Friendly Hills Bank, Taylor Wilson, Costello and Sons, great insurance company here in Irvine, helping the luxury market mostly. But Jeff, we spoke before, we were talking about the idea or the concept about Dodd-Frank and the expenses it's adding initially to lenders, but basically being passed through. And you shared a story which is just so apropos. I wanted to see if you can share it with us on air about with the gas prices, the correlation with Dodd-Frank and gas prices.
Sure. Well, the comment that I made you off air was that you were talking about how the cost of Dodd-Frank and the CFPB gets passed through, whether it's in your mortgage rate or in the fees that you have to pay for simple banking services. And I think an outstanding example of how this regulation gets passed through the consumer is what we're seeing today in the gas prices. So you made reference to the fact that oil is now at $48 a barrel, and yet the gas prices here in California are consistent with where the gas prices were a year ago when it was $100 a barrel.
Right.
And the reason for that is the environmental regulation that has been put upon that industry, the petroleum industry, the requirements that they have for refining, the exclusivity of the California blend, which does not allow them to refine in other states, and the fact that we have not allowed new refineries to come into operation. So when we have maintenance issues and we have disasters that hit, such as what's occurred recently, we have nowhere else to go. A simple fix would be for the governor to basically withhold those regulations, allow us to use the blends of other states, and then we could bring that gasoline in. But we haven't had that step taken yet, and so as a result, you have this much higher cost. It's creating a squeeze of the supply, and of course that price is driven by supply and demand. So that's a very clear example where government intervention has had a direct impact on the supply and demand, which therefore impacts the price.
And if I had known that we were going to talk about that, Jeff, I would have got the phone number for the governor's office, so we can all make a phone call.
I can get it for you.
Just Google Governor Brown. Let your state assembly people and representatives know that this isn't acceptable. And the idea right there, Jeff, we were talking about, that's really just another form of a tax on the people that cannot afford it most. I mean, the people that are paying for gas are not the Tesla owner.
No.
Right?
No, and it's when I look at whether it's new regulation or restrictions or reporting requirements, I always look at it from the impact on that middle income family. Okay, these are the people, they don't drive a Prius, they need a bigger car, they're driving a minivan. And they're not eating out every night of the week, but they might eat out one night a week. And so when we're looking at some of this cost impact, whether it's through regulation or government mandate on pricing, which is what the minimum wage is, it drives up the cost, and where it hits is that middle income family, because they're the ones that are the engine of the economy. And I would argue that it's the restraints that we've put on them, how we've made it so difficult for them, that's withholding us with the type of growth that we want to see for this recovery.
It's going to be interesting to see how people discuss that. I mean, and a lot of people don't catch the fact that that's basically not as articulate, I don't think, as you just put it, but that's really what Donald Trump has been talking about. He's really been talking about securing the border because it's adding more supply of labor, albeit illegal in many instances, which is bringing is hurting the middle class people. And a lot of people don't want to understand that is, the more you do to hurt the middle class, the rich, the ultra wealthy, the people that Taylor's working with, their lifestyle's not going to change. They're going to still get on the NetJet or Wheels Up. They're going to still buy their nice cars and houses, and they're going to maybe cut. We see the stock prices, right? Every time you cut labor, company's going to cut 5,000 people, stock price goes up. That middle class person is the one that really feels it, or the working class really feels that most. And unfortunately, there's nobody out there that's evangelizing this like we are this morning.
And our middle income spending power, and there's a variety of ways you measure that, but whichever measure you choose, middle income spending power is much lower in the last 8 years, and one of the sharpest reductions we've seen in the last 100 years. So I think it's a big part of what's holding back our economy, and many of these middle income families are business owners. And so a lot of the restrictions that we're putting on business are flowing through into their personal wealth as well.
Well, you see this from, I'm assuming, I shouldn't assume, but I will, that the clientele that you're catering to is going to be the business own, the small to mid-sized business owner. I'm assuming that 3M doesn't bank with you, or Ford Motor, Chrysler. When they do these regulations, they're always looking at, okay, how do we regulate Chase? How do we regulate Ford? How do we regulate Apple? And they don't think that your clientele, people like me, people like Taylor, we have to follow those same regulations.
We do, and it's resulting in a change in our economic marketplace where the much larger national chain has such a competitive advantage that it's hard for the small business to compete. I always look at the corner hardware store as an example. In the pre-Home Depot days, that corner hardware store was really the go-to place, and that was usually owned by a local family that was well known in the community, that contributed to the community. Today, you'll have a large national chain that comes in, oftentimes pushing those people out of business, and it represents a change in our economy. On the other hand, Home Depot can bring in very high quality products at a lower price than that mom and pop can charge. The point I'm making is, as we add more regulation, Home Depot can have a whole department that deals with regulation and changes in law. Your small corner hardware guy, he can't. He's just trying to keep up and compete. And so ultimately you push these people to the point where it just doesn't make economic sense to be in business. And that's where I'm very concerned, because we've always looked to entrepreneurship as a driver of the economy. Yes, you explained my client base correctly in that it is the small and medium-sized business, but it's small and medium-sized business in various stages. Some are in the growth cycle, some are in a mature cycle. And what we're seeing is a lot of these these multi-generation businesses really coming under a lot of pressure right now, and it's hard for that second and third generation to be able to be successful as their previous generations were, because they have such a higher cost factor that they have to work with. The amount of time that a small business owner is able to spend on their business has been less and less. The small business owners I talk to, they're spending more time worried about employment law, health benefits, financing needs, as opposed to really working on making widgets, which is probably what they got into business for in the first place. I have yet to meet an entrepreneur who decided to start a business because he wanted to understand more about Obamacare.
I agree with you. None of us want to deal with that. Although it's a whole new industry itself. Unbelievable. Better get the featured home in here today, because otherwise I get in trouble. This one's brought to us by Ali Jovahi. I think I pronounced Ali's name properly. 7620 East Corto in Anaheim Hills. Looks like a nice property, $1,295,000. Look at this financing, if you qualify. Obviously, not everybody does, but maybe $4,300 a month on $1.3 million property. Beautiful custom-built home, sits on half an acre atop Anaheim Hills, sweeping valley and city views. 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. Taylor might be a client for you.
Definitely.
3,900 plus square feet. 1,500 square foot wraparound deck, watching sunsets. I like that idea. Evoking a sense of peace and tranquility. I need that little background music for that. Found only in a private oasis. If you want more information on the property, mbelinks.com/prop 0724. mbelinks.com/prop 0724. Or give me a call and I'll put you in touch with Ali. Great information, and be sure to set that first radio preset button to come back here every day to join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. If you want to meet any of our guests, give me a call. Thanks to Steve, who's engineering us today. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Remember, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
It's only 12:30, but I don't care. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Hi, it's Colin Coward. You're listening to ESPN Radio 1700. Catch me weekdays at 7 a.m. ESPN Radio 1700.
There's a lot of internet